I'm Emily Shacklett, leader of executive services here at Fairport and Luma Wealth. We're here to talk to you today about resolutions. 2022 is off to a good start, but boy, has it been a doozy. Already, we're dealing with Omicron variant, inflation discussions, and yeah, we've seen the market volatility. It's enough to create chaos and lots of stress in your lives. So when you're feeling that chaos and when you're feeling that stress, what should you do? Be thoughtful, plan, be strategic, and resolve to have a calm, comfortable, thoughtful year. So today we come to you with resolutions, things you can think about to bring yourself into a place of calm and planning instead of chaos in the year ahead. So resolution number 1, we want you to educate and empower yourselves and your family. And what better way to do that than to read a book, learn a little bit, learn something new that you haven't thought about before. There's a great quote that I want to share with you from Joseph Addison. He says, "Reading is to the mind as exercise is to the body." So why not join a book club? If you're like me, it's kind of tough sometimes to get motivated to do something new, but if you have an accountability partner, or if you're doing it over fun, food, and wine, it will motivate you to keep doing it. So if you can't find a book club, then what do? Well, we still think read a book, read some great books about finances, and maybe set yourself a quarterly cadence of finding new good books to read. And on that front, we will provide for you in this newsletter a list of books that we think are worth your time and energy and will motivate you through the year. All right, so resolution number 2. What do we have in store for you here? We think you should resolve to have an annual family meeting. And that annual family meeting, it could include your spouse or significant other. And whether your kids are young or old, think about including them in at least part of the conversations. It's great to empower your whole family and to bring the whole family together to talk about your values. So what are some of the things that you might talk about in these meetings? You could talk about your savings, checking out your savings from your retirement accounts to your IRAs to make sure that you're maximizing your savings. And even if you can't max out, that at least you're contributing enough to get the company match. So talk about the savings. Reviewing your asset allocations and rebalancing if necessary, or pivoting your strategy because maybe you're nearing a milestone in your life. That's another topic you could discuss. What about risk management? We don't always talk about that, but it's an important topic you could discuss at the family level. Do you have the right insurance levels? What might you do to be more protective of yourself and your well-being in the upcoming year? And if you don't think you're there, bring in the professionals that you need to help you. Check out your budget. I know this doesn't sound fun, but this is an incredibly great exercise, especially when you do have the kids in the room, to really get them thinking about ways that you can save more, spend less, all the things you need to do to get to retirement. Do you have any big plans for the year ahead? Anything exciting? Anything you're trying to kick to the curb to save money? Those are all the kinds of things you should talk about, and talk about them with your family because it's a great learning experience. And lastly, maybe talk about how do you make an impact with your charitable giving? Do you want to give your time, your treasure, some combination of the both? And bring the kids into those discussions because, again, the whole family can choose these charities that they want to benefit and do so in a happy, joyful way together. And it's a great family exercise, and you're benefiting a wonderful charity of your choice. So bring them into the conversations. Moving on to resolution number 3. Womp womp. I know a lot of people don't want to think about this because it's an uncomfortable topic, but let's resolve to get our estate plans in order, including beneficiary designations and account titling. Now, I know this can be something where you're like, oh gosh, this can wait. I have time. I'm going to look at my estate plan, but I'm young. I have all these years. Well, you never know exactly what's going to happen. And so you need to plan for the worst And definitely your goal is the best. But if you don't have an estate plan, run. Make sure that you get ready, you get your estate plan together, because you never know when something could happen. But even if you do have an estate plan, if that's a couple years old, it never hurts to kick the tires, because a lot of tax laws have changed. And boy, as we all know, the world has changed a lot over the last couple years. Our feelings about things and people might have changed. And all of those types of evolutions in our thinking and in our worlds drive changes to estate plans. So kick the tires on it, even if you have one, if it's a couple years old. And wrapping that topic, beneficiary designations and account titling. Doesn't matter how good your plan is if you don't make sure your beneficiary designations and your titling are on point. And by the way, it's easy to think, oh, I know I checked that last year and it's good. Well, I'm here to tell you, I did a little exercise here at the beginning of the year to check a lot of titling and beneficiary designations, and I found some mistakes even in my own. So it can never hurt to use the beginning of the year as a wonderful annual refresh to check everything out and make sure it's in good shape. Worst case scenario, you don't do these things and you go through probate, you give money to people you didn't expect, like that cranky ex-wife of yours or that cranky ex-husband of yours. We don't want that to happen. And finally, resolution number 4, my favorite topic. I get very excited about this. Resolve to create some tax-free savings. And yes, I did say tax-free. In my world, I like choices, and I think a lot of you are probably the same. When it comes to your retirement, what would be better than having lots of different choices for where you draw your money? And those monies are taxed at different levels. And oh, lo and behold, you actually have a bucket that's tax-free. So how do you get there? Number 1, your company may offer a Roth 401k or a Roth 403b option. Consider utilizing that, particularly if you're in lower tax brackets. But even if you're in the mid-range tax brackets, it's worth considering maybe putting a piece of your savings into a Roth bucket so that you have that tax-free savings. If that's not an option, consider a Roth IRA contribution. Now, keep in mind there's income limitations on those to the extent that you have access to another plan. But if you are able to contribute to a Roth IRA, that's a win-win-win. And if that's not available, one more opportunity. You can always consider a sneaky technique that might not be around for long, but is allowable at the moment, called a backdoor Roth contribution. Recently, we wrote an article. It was on January 18th, and you can find it on our Fairport website. Talks much more in depth about how to do a backdoor Roth conversion. So take a look if you're interested. So if you like our ideas about building your resolve in 2022 and creating calm out of the chaos, please reach out to your Fairport Wealth Advisor or your Luma Wealth Advisor to talk more about these things we've shared with you today. Thanks for your time today.